So for the wave pulse lab that we started working on yesterday, you're going to be calculating the speed that the wave travels at by taking the distance between the wave generator and the clamp, and then dividing it by the time that it takes for the wave to go from one end to the other. And remember that you're going to measure that time 3 times for each amplitude, or in 3 trials, and then finding the average of those 3 trials to calculate your average speed. That's taking the distance that you measured between the two ends and then dividing it by these average times to then calculate these speeds right here. And once you have this data table filled up, then you're plotting that data on this speed and amplitude graph. And so the amplitudes that we asked you to test will go along the bottom, and the speeds that the waves traveled at will be on the y-axis. Once you have this graph made, before you try to answer your CER, which asks, does the amplitude of a wave have an effect on speed? Really what it's asking us to do is look at this graph and see if there's a correlation. So a little bit about correlation. In an experiment, the independent and dependent variables can have a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or no correlation. So this is what those 3 shapes would look like. A positive correlation shows that as the independent variable increases, so does the dependent. And so we see a positive slope. For negative, it's as the independent increases, then we see a decrease in the dependent variable, or negative overall slope, or negative overall trend. And then no correlation can look like lots of things, either a horizontal line or no distinct positive or negative trend, kind of just all over the place. And that shows that even as the independent variable increases, the dependent variable doesn't change in a predictable way. So if we see these 3 shapes, then we can make certain claims about the variables, and this would be very useful in your evidence portion of your CER, because you'll be able to look at your graph, and then based on the shape of the graph, then that can be evidence to support whatever you claim, which your claim could be that it does have an effect or it doesn't have an effect on the speed of the wave. And so if we see this shape, then we can make this claim, or this evidence. If we see this shape, it's evidence that supports this claim. And if we see this shape, it's evidence for supporting the claim that the independent variable or the amplitude does not affect the dependent variable or the speed. So yesterday, we had hoped that you calculated the averages to fill out your data table and made your graph of your data. So today, if you could determine what type of correlation you see in your graph, and then write your claim, evidence, and reasoning portion, and then turn your lab in. Thank you.